Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a really fascinating journey. We're going into an ancient text, a dialogue that, honestly, offers a surprisingly detailed and timeless framework for ethical living.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Our source material is the Verañjakasuttaṃ. It's a teaching from the Buddha that distills some, well, profound insights into the impact of our choices.
That's right. And this teaching, it came about when the Buddha, who is known as the Blessed One, an arahant, which means, a fully awakened being, was staying near a place called Savatthi.
Okay.
And his reputation, well, it had spread far and wide. People knew about his wisdom, the profound beauty of his Dhamma, his teachings. They described it as beautiful in the beginning, middle, and end.
Wow.
So this drew a group of curious householders. They came from a place called Verañja, specifically to seek him out.
Right. They'd heard the buzz, basically.
Exactly.
And they came with a really fundamental question, didn't they? One that I think still resonates today across all times, all cultures. They wanted to know essentially, what's the cause? What's the reason some beings after death end up reborn in states of suffering like hell, while others find themselves reborn in, good places like heaven?
A core question of existence, really.
Absolutely. So for you listening, this deep dive is really about understanding what this ancient text says about the very essence of ethical living and, importantly, its consequences.
And the Buddha's first answer was, well, remarkably brief, very concise.
Oh, what did he say initially?
He just stated, due to unrighteous conduct and unharmonious conduct, some go to states of woe. Due to righteous conduct and harmonious conduct, some go to good-borns. Simple as that initially.
Wow, okay. That's very direct, almost stark. It definitely leaves you wanting more detail.
It did, and it certainly prompted the householders to ask for a much more detailed explanation.
Which is where it gets really interesting, I imagine.
Precisely. That's where the teaching truly unfolds. The Buddha then elaborated on what he called adhammacariyā, visamacariyā, basically, unrighteous conduct, and he broke it down neatly into 10 distinct types. He categorized them by actions of the body, speech, and mind.
Body, speech, and mind. A classic framework.
Yes. So for bodily actions, there are 3. First, taking life. The text is quite graphic here, describing it as being cruel, bloody-handed, without shame or compassion towards all living beings.
So it's not just the act, but the whole attitude behind it.
Exactly. Lack of compassion is key. Second, taking what is not given, essentially stealing, taking someone else's property.
It's straightforward.
And third, misconduct in sensual pleasures. Now, in the context of this text, this specifically refers to inappropriate relations. It mentions things like relations with women protected by their mother or by other family members or those already committed.
Ah, okay. So it seems the focus isn't just on the outward act itself, but maybe the underlying intention, like the cruelty you mentioned with taking life, or a sort of fundamental disregard for consent and property in the others. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely. That hits the nail on the head. The text really emphasizes that the internal disposition, the mindset, matters just as much as the external action.
Right.
So from those bodily actions, he moved to verbal actions. 4 types here.
Okay, speech. What did he cover?
First, lying. Pretty clear, intentionally speaking, falsehoods, saying things you know aren't true.
Standard enough.
Second, divisive speech. This is interesting. It's described as hearing something in one place and then deliberately repeating it somewhere else, specifically to cause division, to break people apart, create conflict.
Weaponizing words. We still see that plenty today, unfortunately.
We certainly do. Third is harsh speech, using words that are, as the text puts it, rough, hard, or abusive. Basically, verbal aggression.
Right. Hurtful language.
And finally, the 4th verbal action is frivolous talk. This is described as speaking at the wrong time, falsely, without purpose or meaning, like idle gossip or just chatter that serves no real positive purpose.
It's really striking how much weight this ancient teaching places on words, isn't it? We sometimes dismiss verbal harm or think sticks and stones, but here it's given, well, significant importance in shaping our relationships and even our future.
Indeed. Words have power, and this text recognizes that fully. And then the final 3 types fall under mental actions. These are often the most subtle, the most overlooked.
Okay, thoughts themselves.
Exactly. The first is covetousness. This is intensely desiring what belongs to others, thinking, oh, I wish that was mine, or may that be mine. That strong, grasping desire.
An internal wanting.
Yes. The second is ill will. This is actively harboring corrupt, harmful thoughts about others, like thinking, may these beings be killed, destroyed, or just cease to exist. Really malevolent intentions.
Wow, that's dark.
Yes. And the third mental action, perhaps the most foundational, is wrong view. This means holding fundamentally distorted perspectives about reality.
Like what kind of views?
Like believing things such as, there is no gift, no offering, no sacrifice. Basically denying the value or effect of generosity, or crucially, dismissing the results of good and bad actions, or denying the existence of enlightened beings who understand and proclaim these truths.
That's fascinating. So the text considers our very way of understanding reality, our worldview, as a form of action itself, with consequences.
Precisely. Your view shapes your intention, which shapes your actions. It's all interconnected.
This really hammers home that inherent link the Buddha was drawing between these unrighteous actions, whether physical, verbal, or purely mental, and the kind of future states, the suffering he mentioned initially.
Absolutely. It paints a clear picture of cause and effect based on ethics.
Okay, so that's the unrighteous path. Did he then outline the positive side, the way to those good-borns?
He did. He then outlined the 10 types of righteous conduct, or dhammacariyā, samacariyā. And they are essentially the direct counterparts, the positive opposites of the unrighteous ones.
Makes sense. So starting with the body again.
Yes. For bodily actions, first, abstaining from taking life. But it's more than just not killing. It involves laying aside rod and weapon, actively being compassionate, gentle, and benevolent towards all beings.
So it's not simply the absence of the negative act, like we said before, but an active cultivation of the positive. Compassion, respect. That seems like a crucial distinction.
It is. That active quality is key throughout. Second, abstaining from taking what is not given, meaning simply not stealing, respecting others' property.
Right.
And third, abstaining from misconduct in sensual pleasures, which again means not engaging in those inappropriate relations that violate trust, consent, or existing commitments, showing restraint and respect in relationships.
Got it. So the positive actions for the body are about non-harm, respect for property, and respect in relationships. What about speech?
Okay, verbal actions. First, abstaining from lying. This means speaking truthfully, being reliable in your word.
Truthfulness.
Second, abstaining from divisive speech. And, more than that, actively speaking words that promote unity, that bring people together, that heal rifts. Reconciliation, essentially.
It's the opposite of stirring up trouble, building bridges instead.
Exactly. Third, abstaining from harsh speech, and instead consciously choosing to speak words that are gentle, pleasant, and agreeable, kind speech.
Pleasant speech makes sense.
And fourth, abstaining from frivolous talk, instead speaking at the right time with purpose and meaningfully, making sure your words have value and are appropriate to the situation.
Purposeful speech. You know, what's truly striking here, as you mentioned, isn't just the stopping the bad stuff, but the active effort. Cultivating unity, pleasantness, truthfulness.
That's the core of it. It really frames ethical living as a proactive, mindful endeavor, doesn't it? Rather than just passively avoiding bad things. It's about intentionally building positive habits of body, speech.
And mind. What are the righteous mental actions?
Right. Finally, the 3 mental actions of righteous conduct. First, non-covetousness. Simply not fixating on or desiring what belongs to others. Contentment, perhaps?
Okay. Letting go of that grasping.
Second, goodwill. This is the direct opposite of ill will. It means actively cultivating thoughts of peace, kindness, and well-being towards others. Sincerely wishing, may these beings be free from enmity, free from affliction, free from trouble. May they live happily.
That's beautiful. Actively wishing well for everyone.
It's a powerful practice. And third, right view. This is possessing a correct understanding of reality, the opposite of wrong view. It means affirming the value of generosity, the reality of cause and effect, that actions have consequences, and acknowledging the wisdom proclaimed by enlightened beings.
So this deep dive really shows how our fundamental understanding, our view, underpins everything else, whether leading towards suffering or towards well-being.
It absolutely does. The view sets the direction.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The text doesn't just list these actions, right? It lays out the potential destinations, the outcomes based on your conduct. It paints a very detailed picture.
Indeed it does. For those practicing this righteous conduct, dhammacariyā, the array of potential outcomes described is quite diverse, quite vast, actually.
Like what?
Well, on the human level, one could aspire to and potentially achieve rebirth among influential groups. The text mentions great warriors, great Brahmins, or great householders. These represent positions of, respect, influence, and relative prosperity within human society.
Okay, so positive outcomes within the human realm.
Yes. But it goes far, far beyond that. The text describes an incredibly detailed cosmology, a vast hierarchy of celestial realms, heavens, essentially.
Heavens.
Oh, yes. Many levels, ranging from realms of great sensual bliss, like the Katumahārajika or Tavatisa realms mentioned, up through progressively more refined states, like the Tusita Devas, all the way to incredibly subtle, almost inconceivable, formless realms. States described like neither perception nor non-perception.
Wow. That's a lot of options. The sheer variety and subtlety of these divine realms is quite something.
It illustrates the vast range of positive possibilities that come from sustained ethical conduct and mental cultivation, according to this worldview.
It's fascinating, isn't it, that the text offers both these sort of grand celestial holidays and also mentions the possibility of liberation right here, right now, in this very life. What's the key distinction there, or the ultimate emphasis from this perspective?
That's a really important question. While rebirth in heavenly realms is certainly presented as a positive and desirable outcome of good conduct, the text consistently points towards an even higher ultimate aspiration, which is the possibility of attaining liberation from defilements, achieving release of mind and release by wisdom right here in this very life, nibbana, or enlightenment.
Ah, okay. So the heavens are good stops, maybe, but not the final destination.
That's often how it's interpreted, yes.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text suggests a direct correlation between your actions, body, speech, mind, and your future state. From the mundane human level, right up to the most sublime possibilities, including liberation itself.
It really makes you think. It raises an important question, doesn't it? What does success truly look like in this framework? Is it just about accumulating pleasant experiences, maybe in a heaven realm? Or is it something more fundamental, like fundamentally transforming your own mind?
Exactly. That's a profound challenge, I think, especially to maybe some modern understandings of success.
It really is. And the Verañja householders, the ones who asked the original question, how did they react to all this detailed explanation?
Oh, their reaction was apparently incredibly powerful. The text says they were deeply moved, deeply grateful. They used these wonderful metaphors comparing the Buddha's teaching to, let me see, setting upright what was overturned, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, holding up a lamp in the darkness so those with eyes could see.
Beautiful imagery. They clearly felt they'd received something incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. They immediately declared themselves lay followers. They took refuge, as it's called, in the Buddha, his Dhamma, his teachings, and the Sangha, the community of practitioners from that day forward.
It's truly powerful, isn't it? How these ancient words, this detailed ethical map, can still resonate so strongly today. It lays out such a comprehensive framework, offering profound insights even now.
It really does. The principles feel quite timeless.
So wrapping this up for you, our listener, considering these detailed ancient prescriptions for conduct, body, speech, and mind, and that vast spectrum of potential outcomes we discussed, from difficult states all the way to liberation, what does this deep dive suggest about the profound impact of your daily choices? Maybe the ones you make even today, and perhaps the ultimate aspirations you might choose to cultivate in your own life. Something to think about.